the extra handprint. The first time it happened, I found 6 wet handprints across the roof of my car after the wash stopped. They were on the outside, but the palms faced the wrong way. They looked as if someone inside the car had pressed both hands upward through the metal. It was almost midnight. I had stopped at a 24-hour self-service car wash because there was dried mud along the doors. The place was empty. 4 concrete bays under buzzing fluorescent lights, with black trees beyond the parking lot. I chose the last bay and paid by card. The machine gave me 10 minutes. I sprayed the car with a high-pressure wand. Water hammered the windows and drummed against the roof. The hose dragged behind me, scraping over wet concrete. Then I switched to the foaming brush. The brush made a low, rough sound against the paint. When I finished, I rinsed everything and stepped back. That was when I saw the prints. They formed a line from the middle of the roof toward the driver's side. Each palm was narrow. The fingers were long and spread wide. Water ran from the fingertips in thin lines. I touched one. The water was warm. Everything else on the car was cold. I unlocked the doors and checked inside. Front seats, floor, back seat, trunk. Nothing. I ran my hand over the headliner. It was dry and solid. There was no stain above it. No opening in the roof. I wiped the prints away with a towel and drove home. For the entire trip, I kept looking in the rearview mirror. The back seat remained empty. A week later, I went back. I told myself I wanted to see if it happened again. That was easier than admitting I had spent 7 nights thinking about those hands. This time, I cleaned the inside of the car first. I vacuumed the seats and floor mats. I checked under both front seats with my phone flashlight. I folded the rear seats down, opened the trunk, then put everything back. Before entering the wash bay, I locked all 4 doors. I kept the key in my pocket. The bays smelled like wet concrete and sweet chemical soap. Somewhere behind the wall, a pump switched on with a heavy mechanical thud. I washed the car. When the final rinse ended, there were 7 handprints. The first 6 were on the roof. The 7th was on the upper edge of the driver's window. It was smaller than the others. The palm pressed flat against the glass, with the fingers pointing down toward the door lock. Again, it was on the outside. Again, the shape was wrong. When you press a wet hand against glass, the center of the palm usually leaves a faint mark. These prints were darker around the fingertips and heel, as if the pressure had come from the other side. I stared through the window. The driver's seat was empty. For a moment I had the uncomfortable feeling that I was looking into somebody else's car. I stopped using that wash. For nearly a month, I cleaned the car in my apartment parking lot with a bucket and sponge. No handprints appeared. Then the building manager left a notice asking tenants not to wash vehicles in the lot. I tried a different self-service place. It was brighter and closer to a busy road. Cars passed nearby every few seconds. I chose a bay under a security camera. Before washing, I took pictures of the roof, windows, and doors. I filmed the empty back seat. I even recorded myself locking the car. The wash took 8 minutes. Water struck the roof with a hollow, steady pounding. Soap crawled down the windshield in thick blue lines. Under the fluorescent lights, the windows became mirrors. Halfway through the rinse, I looked at the driver's window. Something on the other side moved with the water, not a person. Just the shadow of a handprint forming beneath the soap. When the foam cleared, there were 8 prints. They began on the roof, crossed the top of the window, and continued down the glass. The newest print covered the outside door handle. 5 wet fingers curled around it. I backed away until the spray wand hit the concrete. The sound echoed through every empty bay. I checked my recording afterward. The video showed me locking the car. It showed the empty seats. Then the picture froze for 11 seconds. The audio continued. Under the hiss of the pressure washer, I could hear a dull tapping sound. It came 6 times. Directly above the camera, I stopped washing the car entirely. Dust collected on the hood. Rain left pale circles on the windows. I told myself that was better. Dirt felt safe because I knew where it came from. But the handprint on the handle kept returning. Every morning there was a faint mark in the dust. Never wet, never clear enough to photograph properly. 5 fingers around the handle. I started checking the back seat before every drive. I checked it again after getting in. I adjusted the rearview mirror lower so I could see the seats instead of the road behind me. I kept the interior light on longer than necessary. My car no longer felt private. It felt occupied between glances. Eventually, the windshield became so dirty that driving at night was difficult. I waited until the self-service wash was crowded, but by the time I arrived, all the other bays were empty. I almost left. Then I saw the security camera above the payment machine and forced myself to stay. I locked the doors. I checked the back seat twice. Both seatbelts hung loose against the pillars. I washed quickly. The brush scraped over the roof. The water beat against the windows. When I rinsed the driver's door, 9 handprints appeared beneath the soap. The last one was below the handle. Its fingers pointed toward the seam of the door. I didn't wipe them away. I unlocked the car and opened the driver's door without looking inside. The cabin smelled warm and stale, with a faint trace of wet soap. I sat down. The seat gave its familiar sigh beneath me. I locked the doors and turned the key. For several seconds I watched the empty wash bay in the mirror. Then I noticed the shoulder strap crossing the back seat. The rear seat belt was buckled tightly around an empty space that was still warm. That's where the story ends. But you know how it is. Some things never really end. If it sent a chill down your spine, leave a like and let someone else lose sleep too. Subscribe to the channel. I have many more stories waiting to be told once you turn off the lights.